How can we leverage mission trips and summer camps to move into the school year? How can we take that hype that students are so excited for Jesus and sharing their faith and then move it into the school year and leverage that for the gospel? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about on this episode of Student Ministry Connection with my guest, Travis Deans. Welcome to Student Ministry Connection. My name is Steve Cullum. And one of the things that really excites me is summer camps. I love camp. I also love going on mission trips. In fact, this summer we took our high school students up to Anchorage, Alaska to serve homeless families on a mission trip. And it was such a great trip. And I often thought throughout that week, this is such a great experience. And how do we carry this back into the school year? So it's not just something that's really exciting for 1 week of the summer. And the same thing happens with winter camps or summer camps or maybe your retreats that you do. There's such an exciting and fun environment where students are really growing in their faith, but oftentimes they just happen during that 1 week or that one weekend. So, how can we actually leverage those events to make a difference throughout the school year? That's exactly what Travis Deans and I are going to be talking about on this episode. Travis is a coworker of mine with National Network of Youth Ministries. He's our regional coordinator for the Northeastern United States and also the mind behind 9-month mission trip. Now, if you've been around Student Ministry Connection for a while, you may remember back on episode 87 when I had Travis on for the very first time and he talked about 9-month mission trip. So if you haven't listened to that one, be sure to go and check it out sometime. But today we're going to recap 9-month mission trip, but then also take a turn and talk about how we can actually leverage these events that we do throughout the summer, throughout the entire school year, and how students can take all this excitement about Jesus and then transfer that into the 9 months that they're in school afterwards, and not just be looking forward to the next summer camp or the next mission trip, that they can actually be excited about their faith and excited about telling others about Jesus throughout the entire school year. So thank you so much for being here. And as we talk, I hope you're able to connect with Travis, but also grow as a leader. Travis, thank you so much for being back on the podcast today.
Hey, thanks, Steve. It's great to be here with you.
So, for those of you that are new to Student Ministry Connection, you may not know Travis yet, but those of you that have been listening for a while, you may remember Travis was first on the podcast back on episode 87 in 2022, but he's also been on a couple other times as well. So, people can go back to episode 87 and hear like your entire story, but I'd love for you to kind of recap your story, your testimony a little bit today before we get started to talk about 9-month mission trip and how leaders can really leverage what they're doing with their students this year in terms of evangelism. So before we jump in any of that, kind of recap your story and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as a high school student, I felt God calling me to be a missionary to my high school. I had been reading missionary biographies, which, I was a homeschool student for about a year. So that tracks right. I've been reading like, William Carey and Hudson Taylor and, Mary Slessor, Amy Carmichael, people like that who had gone around the world to share the gospel. And I just it wasn't an audible voice, but I knew that God was calling me to be a missionary to my high school. And I really didn't know that was a thing. I'd never heard of that before. And it wasn't like now where there's quite a few voices that are calling and equipping students to do that kind of thing. But my I had a youth pastor who encouraged me. He gave me ideas and resources. He really equipped and empowered me to do what God had put in my heart to do there. And so we started a prayer group at the school, a Bible club, and
Mhm.
I was recently sharing this story with some folks actually there in Denver, Steve, and I was telling them that the name of my high school was Turkey Foot Valley Area High School, and they got a good chuckle out of that. But it's a real school, public school, small one, right on the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland. And anyway, it that was so formative in my life because from that I went into youth ministry in college. I studied, that was my major. And you know, from college on, have just been able to, I've spent the last almost 30 years equipping students to start Bible clubs in their schools and to think of their schools as though, as though your school is a 9-month mission trip. And I didn't come up with that wording. I don't know who did. I don't know where it came from, but we started using that wording with students in our ministry frequently. Hey, you should think of the school year as a 9-month mission trip. And eventually, a friend of ours designed a logo for that idea. And when we saw that logo, we thought, "Oh, hey, that's cool. We should do something with that." And that led to a development of a website, I think 15 years ago, and so it's just kind of taken off from there.
Wow. Wow. That's
But
so cool. Yeah. And then it was basically that day that you realized, hey, this could be a thing.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to this, and we could use it to share resources with students, not only in our own area, but in other areas too.
That's
So,
awesome. So just to make sure everybody knows, Travis and I are coworkers. We both work at National Network of Youth Ministries. So
yeah.
just kind of share what you do in your role because I think a lot of people are still curious about what we do within NYM.
Yeah.
So what's your current role there? And then we can talk a little more about 9-month mission trip and what that really is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was actually been a volunteer with National Network of Youth Ministries I was a volunteer for 20 years, helping develop youth pastor networks in Western Pennsylvania. Just encouraging youth pastors to in different communities to come together, meet together, build friendships, relationships, pray together, work together. And then in 2020, I became the Northeast Regional Coordinator for New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, which is a lot of fun. There's, 4 million teenagers that live in those three states, which that's a little overwhelming. That's a lot of these students, but I also work closely with the Campus Alliance, which is we kind of partner together in helping ministries work together with the church and the parachurch to work together to reach students for Christ. And so I enjoy doing that very much.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. And it's a joy to get to work with you and hopefully support more and more youth leaders that are out there. So
Absolutely.
let's turn our attention back to 9-month mission trip. And again, if you want to learn more about it, we dove really deep into it back in episode 87. But share a little more about what 9-month mission trip really is, so that I think people probably can kind of wrap their head around the idea of it. But what really is this whole thing about 9-month mission trip?
Yeah, sure. So I always tell people, it's not an organization. It's just really, it's just a big idea. And the big idea is that we want to encourage students to see their schools in a different way. And this is how I explain it to kids all the time. Your school is not just a place you have to be, although you have to be there. It's a place that God has put you, that God has sent you for a purpose and a reason to make a difference in people's lives. You're surrounded by people who need to know the love of God and the truth of God, and so it's just this incredible opportunity to share God's love with people, and so it's really based on the book of Luke, chapter 9 and 10. That when Jesus sends out his disciples to go and do ministry, right? He sends them out to the villages where he was about to go, and he tells them to go and preach the good news, to heal the sick, and all these things. And it's he's giving them the opportunity to do the kind of ministry he was doing because he's preparing them. He's getting them ready for when he goes. But it's that same kind of idea that wouldn't it be great if there was a place we could send students, as youth pastors, we want them to own their faith. We want them to grow in their faith. We want them to share their faith. Wouldn't it be great if there was a place we could send them every week to go and do ministry and they could come back, just like the disciples did, come back and
Hmm.
share the great things that God has done? Well, we have such a place. Their school is the perfect place to send them out, equipped to do ministry, and let them come back and share what God has done. And so, yeah, Luke 9 and 10 are really the scriptural foundation for the idea.
That's so cool. And I love how you said it. It's not really like a program. It's not really even an
Yeah.
organization necessarily. It's more just
Mhm.
a strategy. It's a mindset. And
Yep.
that's how I love talking with other youth pastors about it, because I've implemented in a couple different ministries that I've been able to lead, and it's transformed how students think about their school year. And
Yep.
yeah, I think you can kick it off with a series and do different teachings, and there's different things I think we can work into our regular programs to incorporate it throughout the school year. But it's not like something else that you have to think about as a youth pastor. They're like, oh, I've got to implement this and this and this, and how much time is that going to take of my program and all these different things. It's more just kind of getting your leaders, but also the students in a mindset that allows them to just shape how they go into their schools. And so as a
Yeah.
youth pastor for a long time, I really appreciate that it's not another program that I have to run on top of everything else.
Oh, that's what I always tell youth pastors. I'm like, listen, we don't want to put more on your plate. You already have too much on your plate.
Mm,
We just want to give you a tool that helps you do something you already want to do.
yeah.
And if you take it, you use it in whatever way makes sense to you, whatever way serves your ministry best. But yeah, I believe it just helps you to take your students where you already are wanting them to go.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So I know you've been having more developments within 9-month mission trip over the last few years. So what's new? What can youth pastors and youth leaders be excited about when they do check out like the website? I know you got an app, you got some other resources you guys are putting out now. So what's new with the 9-month mission trip?
So yeah, we have a mobile app which came out a couple of years ago, and that the best feature of the mobile app is stories of students sharing what they've done to make a difference in their schools. It's one thing for us as adults to, hey, we have this challenge for you, and that's great. We need to do that, but man, if you can show them students just like themselves, or if they can see students just like themselves talking about serving Christ in this way, man, that's just powerful. So the app really helps to do that. And I always encourage youth pastors, if you have a student with a great story, we'd love to share it on there. Send us those stories. But we redid the website. We're on our, I think this is the third version of the website now. I think it's the best it's ever been. It's really good. A lot of it just looks a lot sharper, and a lot of the resources that we have are easily accessible there. And then we published our third version of the student guide back in May, which will be, if you haven't seen a paper copy of it, it will be on the Download Youth Ministry store shortly here. And so that'll be, maybe we can even include that in the show notes. I should be getting that any day now. But basically, it's just a little booklet, about 24 pages, that just helps guide students through how do I make this school year a 9-month mission trip? And it gives them a month by month look at setting goals and ideas, and it's something that a kid can do on their own, or they can do it with a small group, or they can do it with the campus ministry at their school. And really, it's not meant to, again, it's not meant to replace your small group or your youth group, or even the campus ministry, but it just something that helps to sharpen those things, helps to put a little point on those times together. When students are together in community and fellowship, which is crucial. Wouldn't it be cool if part of their community, part of their fellowship was, what if they were coming together around the idea of, we want to share this love and community we have with those around us that don't have this. And I always tell students, they have this church family, they have this youth ministry family, which is awesome. It's so good. But I always encourage them, think about the students around you that don't have that sense of family, and there's so many of them. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so those are some of the big new things that are out there. And we have our Instagram is still going, and a great way to connect with what's happening. And so I encourage people to follow that as well, which is just at 9-month mission trip.
Cool. Cool. So Travis, I know you just posted something on the 9-month mission trip Instagram,
Mhm.
and caught my eye as well. And just kind of this idea of how we take this hype, this excitement from summer camps and the summer mission trips that we do within student ministry, and take that into the school year. And I know with the ministry that I've been serving in, we just came off of an amazing Alaska mission trip with our high school students, and we did a localized mission trip for our middle school students, where we went and served locally and
Oh,
helped
that's
people
great.
out
Yeah.
for a few days. And so our students are excited about it. I know I visited some other camps this summer, and those students are excited about what happened at camp, and that's what it's for. But how do we take that and then transfer that in, that excitement and everything that we have during mission trips and camps, and then transfer that into the school year?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think since COVID, it just feels like every summer now, you just hear these incredible stories of, camps that are busting at the seams, students, going on trips like you were describing. And all of that is awesome. I love the summertime. I love the idea of getting students away from the normal and my church we had our national youth conference in July, and it was just phenomenal. Just, there were 5,000 students there, and in a convention center, and just the things that God is doing in those environments is so good. So, it just seems a shame not to do something with that momentum, right? You have this incredible, you see God work in this incredible way, but then what, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
it meant for just that moment? Is that
Mhm.
moment all that matters? Well, of course the moment matters,
Sure.
and that time matters, but the whole thing is God is doing something that is meant to last in their hearts, right? He's not doing something that, let me touch your heart, and then after that, I don't care what happens.
Right.
We
Right.
know
See
that's
you
not
next
God's
summer.
heart, right? Yeah, yeah. So I think the most important thing is for those of us who are in youth ministry to very intentionally lay out steps for students to take. Hey, here's how to carry this forward. I always tell students that, God has blessed you to be a blessing, right? We say that to adults too, right? That if God has blessed you, if God has done something in you, he didn't do that for you to keep it to yourself. That's never the New Testament way, right?
Yeah.
We're always called to share what God has given to us with those around us. So in in my post the other day, I was just, sharing just a way that students can take what God did in their hearts this summer into the school year is to make a list of friends they know that have not encountered God in the way that you have. They might be people you play on a sports team with, people you ride the bus with, people you're in class with, people you eat lunch with, but make a list of people that you know who that you would love to see them encounter God's power and presence the way that you have. In fact, what if you had several people that you would like to bring them to camp with you next year, right? Or you would like to see them go on a mission trip or see them go to your conference you go to or whatever it is. Who are the people that you would love to see experience God working in their hearts the same way that he has worked in your heart. And so you make a list of those people, and we talk about this all the time. You pray for them intentionally, purposefully, daily, and you care about them. You build genuine, real, authentic friendships where you really care about who they are and what's going on in their lives. And as God provides the opportunity, you share the gospel with them, right? Prayer, care, and share. It's an easy The fact that it rhymes doesn't take away from the power of of the idea that
That's right.
literally praying for people is, I mean, that's the easiest thing you can do. But as you pray for people, you cannot help but to care about them. And as you care about them, the desire to share Jesus with them just grows and grows, and God will give that opportunity. So that's for me, that's kind of one of the easiest ways to take what God did over the summer and carry it with you into the school year.
That's so good and so simple. And I think again, I think it's 9-month mission trip is kind of built around that same kind of concept.
Yeah,
But again, it's not an additional thing that we have
right.
to work in. So students should be doing this. I think it's great. But as youth leaders, what's some practical ways, I guess, that you've maybe seen this happen or you've been able to implement yourself, ways that youth leaders can make this happen within their youth groups without getting overwhelmed and have to add like all these extra things to what they're doing already?
I think the first thing is maybe reorienting your back to school thoughts a little bit. Like I saw a post the other day, I'm planning my back to school event and, what are some fun things we can do? Well, obviously, I love doing fun things. I love, if there are some great games you can do or if there are some great activities that make it fun, whatever you're doing to make it fun, absolutely do that. However, an element of the back to school event ought to be invite a friend to come with you, right? Invite a friend that doesn't know Christ to come with you. As we're getting ready for this back to school event, think about a few friends that that don't yet know Jesus. Invite them to come and be part of it. Make, build the idea of reaching others into your back to school, whatever it is that you do, and not only that, but I was just at a back to school event a guy did in Hagerstown, Maryland. He I mean, they had a water slide, they had all kind of crazy games. They did a cookout. I mean, it was fun. They had a they had a great time. It was really good. About
Nice.
100 students came, but he was very intentional. He's like, "Listen, you guys go to 25 different schools."
Mm,
And he had figured out, like, he just kind of did this on his own. He figured out that there were 22,000 students enrolled in those 25 different high schools. And he said, "Guys, that's our mission field this year.
mm,
We want to share God's love with students in those 25 schools, those 22,000." And he made it his back to school event had hey, everybody come, but also I'm sending you out. There
mm,
was both there. There was that invitation and the invitation to come and the sending out. And I mean, I don't know, I think he had 20 or 25 that kind of responded to that idea of I want to think of myself as a missionary to my high school. And not
mm.
every kid is there, right?
Sure.
We have kids that, they're not yet believers, right? We have kids that are new believers. We have kids that are still, they need to know their identity in Christ and that they have a lot to learn. But we all have students who need challenged spiritually. And if we don't challenge them spiritually, they'll become stagnant,
Mm,
right? They'll become the church kids who think they've heard it all, they've seen it all, they know it all. And when you have students like that, your ministry does not that hinders your ministry, right?
mm,
That those You have students that if you do not challenge them, if you do not put before them something more, they're going to stop growing. But when you do that, when you put that challenge before them, when you encourage them to go, they will grow more because it's in the going that you realize how much growing you have yet to do. Which I'm quoting Greg Steer there, but I love this quote by Duffy Robbins. He said, nothing makes you want to learn about how to use a rifle like getting shot at. I heard Donnie say that over the time. I'm like, oh, that's so good. Our faith is one of those things that we will never want to learn more about it than when we're trying to share it with other people. And so it's good for your students, it's good for your ministry, but you and I as youth leaders, we just have to say, okay, I'm going to put this challenge before them. I'm going to make this part of what we do. We want to help them. We want to help them come to Christ. We want to help them grow, but we also are going to be intentional about helping them go.
mm. That's so good. And you and I have talked about, in person, but also on previous podcasts and stuff about that expectation thing. And I think that's so important. That our youth groups are not just places where, we come and just learn and that's it, or just have fun. Those are very, very important things. But
Oh, yeah.
like you said,
Love it. Yeah.
following Jesus's model, like he said, come and follow me, and then he sent them. And so
Yeah.
how are we also doing that? And I think one of the things I've noticed too, that most students, I think, even if they're not at that point where they're ready to say yes to Jesus or share him with others, the fact that they see that this youth group is not just a place for us to have a holy huddle, but it's like, oh, they expect things. I can be part of something bigger. I'm not there yet, but I think they love being a part of something that they know, like this is bigger than just coming together and hanging out and eating pizza.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and actually, I think our students. I mean, I think they're hungry. They're
Yeah.
hungry for something that they feel like, wow, we are making a difference. We're
Yeah.
doing something that really matters, and that's why you have. I think that's why you have layers of this kind of thing where, we want to see them serving, right? Give them serving opportunities. We want to see them serving in the community, right? Get them outside the four walls of the church, right?
Mhm.
There are things you can do that build up to, that you could create this progression of getting out there. But the kids, they want to know that their lives matter, that there's something to this. And I, for Steve, I've been doing this a long time, but I'm still shocked and amazed at the courage that I
Mm.
see in students. And it's, man, it's not me. It is. I mean, that's not, it is God giving
Yeah.
them courage
Yeah.
to live out and express their faith. And I mean, it still surprises me. Like, wow, you
Yeah.
really want to do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, we're if you're a youth pastor not doing this, man, you're missing out on seeing amazing things because your students, they have it in them, but we just have to, help just draw it out, give them the opportunity, and you wind them up and let them go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things that you mentioned within the 9-month mission trip, resources and materials, is that we also need to be setting the example as the leaders as well, and not just,
Sure.
expecting our teenagers to go out and do it and that's it. Like, "Yo, you share the gospel with your friends, and I'm just gonna sit here in the church." But we need to be doing that as well. And I think from my experience, like you said, those students, they're ready, they're hungry for it, and oftentimes they have more courage than many of the adults that I
Oh,
worked
yeah,
with, and more than the courage that I have myself sometimes to step out of my own comfort
absolutely.
zone. And so, yeah, let's leverage that. And hopefully, like I've seen myself, they've inspired me as I see
Right?
teenagers actually stepping out of their comfort zone, sharing their faith with others, and being excited about sharing the gospel. Like that inspires me to do more of that myself.
Absolutely, yeah. You're exactly right. We even as adults, we get intimidated by that idea. But man, if you just wherever you are, if you're thinking, wow, hey, that person probably needs to know Jesus. That person, that's somebody who they might be hurting. They might be, you just in your if you just look at people differently, if you look at
Mm,
people, that's someone who they need hope, they need peace, they need joy. They might be, we don't know what anyone is wrestling with at any given moment, but like Jesus did when he looked at Jerusalem with compassion.
mm,
If we would look at people around us with compassion, man, it changes
mm.
how we talk to people and that we encounter. It changes our opportunity. I talked with a guy on a plane. It was so funny. I was like, he sat down beside me at the beginning of the flight, and I was like, I kind of know. I just want to sleep on this flight. So we get to the end of the flight, and I said something, and turns out, man, he was a really cool guy. I'm like, doggone, I wish I would have started talking to him when the flight started because we could have had an incredible conversation. He was a bartender at an Outback steakhouse, and but I mean, he was a young guy, just a cool kid. I was like, man, if I had started this conversation earlier, we could have had an incredible discussion. He just seemed open to talk about. I told him what I do and the kind of work I do, and I mean, he didn't look at me with disgust or he's like, oh, okay, that's cool. It's just, if we look for those opportunities, man, we'll find them.
Yeah.
And you're right. We should do exactly the things that we are encouraging our students to do.
Mm.
So,
Travis, I love that you mentioned that just how we can have perspective and look at people differently. And I wasn't planning on saying this, but it just popped in my head as you were saying that. Like I was at Faith at the Rockies the other day, and Jeremy Camp was playing after the Rockies game, and
oh yeah.
we were, right in the middle of the concert. It was an amazing worshipful moment. It was really cool, and he was singing a song that like he loves you, and just that chorus goes, he loves you, he loves you, he loves you. And
Mm,
I just had this moment where we're in Coors Field and we're near the top of the stadium, and you can see the city of Denver outstretched out
mm,
beyond the stadium. And I just felt the Holy Spirit said, "Hey, turn your eyes away from the stage and just look out to the city and
mm.
sing those words over the city." And
Oh,
man, it was
wow.
so powerful to me to
Oh,
like,
wow.
now I'm seeing Denver in a completely different way.
Steve, that's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's good.
But yeah, how can we get our students to do that to their schools, to take what they're so excited about from camps and at summer mission trips, and take those words, those simple words, he loves you, he loves you, he loves you, to every aspect of what they do for school and clubs and sports and everything else.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, they're ready. This generation,
Yeah.
man, this God is doing something
Mm,
really, really amazing right now. And it's like riding a wave. It's like surfing, right? You catch the wave, you ride the wave.
yeah.
There's a wave
Yeah.
that's rolling right now. And as youth pastors, man, the fun of doing youth ministry is catching that wave and
Mm,
rolling with it, right?
yeah.
And see, I just want to encourage youth pastors, man, don't miss this wave. Don't when you're surfing, you let waves go by till you see a good one, right? And you try to catch that good one. Friends, this
Mm,
is a good wave.
yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
good wave going,
Absolutely.
and you ride this wave, it is going to be a blast.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Travis, I know people are going to want to pick your brain a little more, and they're going to want to connect with you more, hear more about 9 Month Mission Trip, your work with NNYM, and maybe even ask you some questions how we can ride this wave, because it's really, really exciting right now. So, what's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to do that and learn more?
Yeah, well, my email is tdeans@nnym.org. That's a great way to get me. You can go to the website, 9monthmissiontrip.com, and I'm available through the website there as well. And if you shoot me an email, I'd be happy to give you a phone call. Happy to do a Zoom call with you. Love to connect in person if you have questions or want to process a little bit. And honestly, I've had youth pastors that have given me ideas like, "Hey,
Mm.
I'm doing this." I'm like, "Oh, I never thought of that." So I'd love to hear your ideas. I'd love to hear what you're doing in your ministry along these lines.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Travis, for being on today, and may God bless all that you're doing for students and leaders.
You too, Steve. Thanks, brother. It's great to be here with you. Take care.
Thanks again for being here for this episode. Be sure to connect with Travis and 9 Month Mission Trip. And something that's really important for you to know is that all of the 9 Month Mission Trip resources are free. So you can just check them out. There's no cost for the app, there's no cost for the website. The guide that he was talking about is going to be free on the website, but also on Download Youth Ministry. So be sure to check those out. And if you've not yet subscribed to Student Ministry Connection on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, be sure to do that so you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you'd like to support my ministry with National Network of Youth Ministries, head over to nnym.org/Steve Cullum to learn more. And remember, every prayer and every dollar amount counts. And I'm so grateful for every one of them. And I know Travis is as well, as he also is looking for support for both 9 Month Mission Trip and National Network of Youth Ministries. If you're listening to this before the end of August 2025, you might still be able to get in on my big research project on what it means to thrive in youth ministry. Just head to the link in the show notes for the survey. And stay tuned, as I'll be talking a lot more about my findings in future episodes. But until next time, be sure to stay connected, and may God bless your ministry.